All right, folks, what's going on? Welcome to our preseason breakdown series for 2024. And as you can see, I'm back here with the man, the myth, the legend. I'm back here with Chad.
What's going on? Happy to be here.
How you been, man?
I'm ready for football to be back. I am excited about the college football game. I'm excited about college football, and I'm excited about NFL, man. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it. If we'd rather talk about it versus buy Madden. All right, so first on our list, because we're doing the NFC East this week, folks, or not this week, but today. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the Philadelphia Eagles, who, by our accounts here, they were 11-6 last year, lost in the division, lost in the wild card round actually to Tampa in a blowout. Their additions include Devin White. Their additions also include Saquon Barkley, Kenny Pickett. They lost Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox to retirement. They also shipped off Hassan Reddick and Kevin Byard. They drafted Johnny Wilson, Will Shipley, and Quinion Mitchell. So, Chad, right out the gate, I'm going to come out with it. Will we see Saquon reach his full potential now?
First things first, I'm so blessed to be able to cover these prestigious teams of the NFC East, like the Eagles and the Cowboys. These teams are always primed for success, and it always pans out. Thank you. With that being said, I think Saquon and the Eagles is a good fit. I asked one of my friends today, who is an Eagles fan, how he thinks about Saquon, and he was excited, but he did say he was concerned about that injury history. And we know how the Eagles run the ball a lot.
Yes.
They'll have Jalen Hurts. They'll have Kenneth Gainwell. And like you said, they'll have Will Shipley, and they'll have their little fancy wide receiver run game. They also drafted Aeneas Smith out of Texas A&M. He can be used as a nice little gadget receiver. I actually do like that pick they had later in the round, but I think Saquon could reach potential if fully healthy. He has one of the best O-lines in the league now.
Yeah, plus it seems as though Saquon is happy now. I mean, if you remember back to when this actually fell through, his daughter was like, does this mean we're going to a winner now and instead of a loser? I'm like, oh my God, even the kid knows. So I'm just like, man, that's sad.
Yeah, surely there's a lot of drama there with the Giants and how that all panned out. So there's going to be some high heated games when it comes to them playing the Giants and all of those divisional rivals. When it comes to me evaluating teams, it comes to coaching, it comes to roster, and it comes to the draft. I did like the Eagles draft. They had a really good draft. You missed Cooper DeJean. He also got drafted by the Eagles. That's a good pick I liked. And I also like the Eagles draft these past couple of years, too. They were racking up a lot of UGA players, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. That defense is getting more experienced, and they still have Darius Slay in the back end. I do like this Eagles defense a lot, and the offense is still just as good as they've been.
For sure, they brought back Chauncey too.
Yes, him too, and the offense, like I said, is just as good as they've been. So this Eagles team should be back into the playoffs, but
oh yeah,
I'll leave it at that. We'll see what happens after that.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Where's it at? Well, what will this defense look like under Vic Fangio?
Well, I think it should be a good pressure-filled defense, especially with those good new fast corners. You might see a lot more different looks from them. I think that the defense is going to be the big question mark is going to be at the secondary position because Darius Slay is getting a little bit older. He's experienced, though. And then Avonte Maddox, Reed Blankenship, Gardner Johnson, they're good. They're not great, but they're good. And it's really to see how far they can elevate.
Yeah, no,
I also think Quinion Mitchell is pretty good too, but it's going to be his rookie year, so we're going to see how that turns out for him.
Big facts. For me, it's just I think this defense, when they got exposed with the injuries, and then Secret got out on them on how to expose them. Yeah, I think a lot of people just They went for the jugular when they played them. This team had the division wrapped up. This team, if you ask me personally, if this team had done what they were supposed to do, and like a lot of Eagles fans I know, if this team had done what they were supposed to do, they would not have been doomed to making a trip down here for a wild card game and getting beat like they did. They're probably the ones that are hosting Green Bay in Philadelphia for the playoffs. And Dallas is the one taking a trip down here to play the Bucks. But again, it comes down to you have to do what you have to do, and you have to take care of business when you're supposed to take care of business. And they just couldn't get it done. I think go ahead.
You look back at that game against Tampa Bay, and the biggest problem was the secondary, and that's what everyone would tell you. You saw Trey Palmer break free, and you saw a lot of big plays happen in that game, and the corners were not good. That's why I'm wondering if they can step up their game this year. And I know it's a lot of new faces, but these guys are going to be young, so we can't expect an immediate transition into the NFL. And also the coaches, they kind of a little bit cleared house a little bit after that game. So we have a little bit of new coaching for the Eagles. Let's see how they can do with this roster, because the roster is more or less the same. Coaching is different. That's the main question mark for the Eagles for me.
It was crazy because it's like you look back at that game, and like if you remember, Nick Sirianni got popcorn thrown on him. I think it was popcorn, or somebody threw something at him after that game. They were
it was popcorn.
Fired up at him, and I'm just like, because honestly, it's crazy how like you go from like 2021, 2022, loved, and then you go to like the end of last season. They're pelting him with popcorn and booing him off the field and everything, booing this whole team off the field. I'm like, this team was just in the Super Bowl a year ago. What did you expect?
And you can say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. He had really highs of highs and lows of lows, and Eagles fans are going to be relentless. So
there's Eagles fans I know that didn't even want him, which is crazy.
Yeah. And also, I don't want to leave out the addition of Devin White. I'm a jersey holder of Devin White, so I'm a former fan of Devin White. Maybe not former. I guess I'd still root for him, but I wish him luck with the Eagles. We'll see how that turns out. I do think that is a good fit when it's all said and done. But
yeah.
But the departures of Jason Kelce, Hassan Reddick, and Fletcher Cox, those are big.
Oh yeah, definitely. You've lost your alpha male along the offensive line now, so someone new has to assume that role. In this offensive line ain't getting no younger from top to bottom. So it's like, hey, when you get the older you get, the colder it gets later in the season, the bigger the games get and stuff. Yeah, you have the experience, but it's like the mind says one thing, the body says another. And
no more tush push either.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I do have the Eagles winning this division with all that said.
Okay. And that takes the team number 2 who won the division last year. And last year they were 12-5 division champs, lost in the wild card round to Green Bay, the Dallas Cowboys, who lose they lose Dan Quinn, Leighton Vander Esch, and Michael Gallup. They added Mike Zimmer as their defense coordinator, and as well as Zeke Elliott, which I don't know why they brought him back. They also drafted Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, and Maris Luthau. So with that being said, the first question right out the gate is going to be this. Do you expect Dallas to take a step back this year?
I do. I expect him to take one step back, not two, but I still think they're a good team. And they were better last year, though, not this year. I still think they can get to the playoffs as a wild card or something like that. Maybe win the division, but like I just said, I think the Eagles do have a better roster when you look at it, at least on paper. Yeah. They still have Dak and CD, which is really their main offense. And then they have Jake Ferguson, who could have a big year. As you said, Ezekiel Elliott's back. Not sure about that. We'll see what he has left in the tank. He's really going to give it all. I kind of feel like this is like his all or nothing kind of like last chance at a Super Bowl moment for him.
Yeah.
And then good offensive line there. So I think the offense is more or less the same, but I think the defense is kind of the question mark. Trayvon Diggs is coming back from a big injury. Deron Bland he had a good year last year, but hot take, the reason why he had so many interceptions is because he got thrown at a lot.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to see how that turns out with the secondary of Dallas now that they're kind of getting back into rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
I like Dallas, but I do think Philadelphia is a little bit better. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, dude, I'm gonna be real with you. As for those that have like seen week in and week out of the Run and Gun podcast, you've seen my personal takes of the Dallas Cowboys, and personally, I've lost faith in this team. I think, it's a cliche to say, but Jerry Jones needs to sell this team, but I don't even think he'll do that. I think that, if something God forbid, you never wish that upon anybody given what's happened in the world recently. God forbid something happened to Jerry Jones. I think, his family inherits this team, but, I don't trust Jerry Jones to make the good on-field decisions regarding this team. And honestly, too, I feel like he's what holds this team back, because you look at the teams that are playoff teams in the league. When these teams make the playoffs, their owners come around. I've only seen the Glazers around one time, and that was aside from being when this team was in the playoffs. You only ever see the Eagles owner really when they're in the playoffs. Who else was in the playoffs? The Rams. You only ever see the Rams owner when they're in the playoffs. You only ever see the Hunt family when the Chiefs are in the playoffs, or opening night when they're raising a banner. Like, you don't really see these owners around a lot, and I think Jerry Jones being around too much is the problem. It's like, no, go do something else with your time. You're always around every day doing something or having your hands in this team, and I think that's what hurts.
Yes, I agree. And I just think that the ownership and the coaching didn't really add as much as you would think, or what you would think they needed. So I think the lack of additions and these question marks have them falling back a little bit. But like I said, they still have a good offense, and they still have they have a good defense. But it's really led by Micah Parsons. Outside of that, you have Bland, Diggs, Odigizua. But really, you also have Marquise Bell. But outside of that, it's kind of like a defense that could definitely be exploited in different ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would agree. And speaking of Dallas, speaking of the Cowboys defense, let's talk about their offense. Is Dak the answer long term?
Wow, we could have asked that like 5 years ago, and it's been a while. Dak's been there for a while now. I think Dak and the Cowboys, their chance was last year. I actually predicted them to go to the Super Bowl last year, which is crazy because I was rooting for them for some reason. I was rooting for them. I'm sorry, everyone. And then I said that they were going to play the Bengals, and that didn't turn out well because Joe Burrow got hurt. But I just don't know if Dak is the answer long term, because I think he's going to slowly start to decline as he gets older. I mean, that's the case for a lot of players, but he's been around for a while now. When you look back at it, he had a really good year last year. That could have been his peak. We'll see. But
it's funny that Dan Mullen coaching tree from college just doesn't seem to be the long-term answer.
Yeah. That goes a long way.
I would agree. And I think much like how Eagles fans are frustrated with Jalen Hurts, I think a lot of Dallas fans are frustrated with Dak.
So I look up, as of today, Dak he's 30, so I give him, he has like 5 more years to compete for a championship, so I feel like he has to do it soon. And the Cowboys are stepping back this year, so we're going to see what happens. This is going to be definitely a test for him, but he could do it. Anything's possible, as Kevin Garnett says.
I think we kind of already answered this question pretty much. How much will they miss Dan Quinn as DC?
Yeah, I think they'll miss him. I mean, they've had some good years with the defense, that's for sure. I remember them being a really good fantasy defense. A lot of fumbles forced, a lot of interceptions, a lot of sacks. So let's see how they do under new management. I think they will miss Dan Quinn though, for sure.
Yeah, facts. Big facts. And with that being said, let's go ahead and now we turn our attention over to the New York Giants, who
New York Giants
6-11 last year, and they are also currently the stars of Hard Knocks right now. Didn't make the playoffs. Daniel Jones coming back from an ACL tear. So right out the gate, what needs to happen for this team to challenge for the division?
Well, right out the gate, when you're talking about the NFC East, you got the Eagles, you got the Cowboys, and you got a gap. Then you got the Giants, you got the Commanders. It's going to be a lot for the Giants to fill that gap. But the first step in doing that is to have a stud receiver, and they did that in drafting Malik Neighbors. I'll give them that. I like that pick a lot. He's really good, really dynamic, really fast. He can catch, he can run, he can make plays. But then you remember Daniel Jones is, in fact, throwing to him. So I don't think they're going to immediately develop. I think it's going to be a little bit of a tough time with starting the year. And I hate to be that guy to Daniel Jones. He's all right, but he's not the best. And we've seen how Odell Beckham used to kind of have fits being on the Giants. That could happen to Malik, but I'm hoping not. Hoping that's not the case.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's funny that what you said correlated with this question. Was Daniel Jones still worth it?
Yeah, Daniel Jones is working hard this offseason. We're seeing a lot of training, so we're going to see if he can take it up a notch. But Giants fans aren't really happy with where he's been this past couple years. And now that he has a true number one receiver, hopefully he can help out the defense by keeping them off the field.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you look at the roster, you don't really see a lot of eye-popping names. I do like the tackles, though. You have Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal at the tackles. But other than that, you really just have Malik Neighbors. And like we already discussed, Saquon Barkley is gone. So now you have Devin Singletary, who's like 5'9".
Allen Robinson also was added along with Jalen Mills on defense.
Yes. Those are good additions, but those aren't anything that's going to help this team immediately. So there's some question marks on this team on offense other than the receiver and tackle position.
I would agree with that. I agree. It's funny how the first three teams we've gone through so far, all of their fan bases seem to be very frustrated with them. It's funny.
They're all doing pretty good anyway, other than the Giants.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, dude, you're winning and you're worried as the quarterback. Like, dude, you got to think about where would you be without him? Where would you be without
Giants
him?
also traded for Brian Burns, and I really liked that trade. I don't remember what they gave up, though. I think they might have gave up a first or something. I think it was a first.
I can't remember what they gave up, but that was also a topic of discussion on Hard Knocks. Was the trade, because I know Dan Morgan, who works very closely in that Panthers front office, was a key piece in making sure that fell through, because him and the Giants GM are very close.
So it was a second round pick. I just looked it up, just wanted to make sure, but still a second round pick, not bad for a 26-year-old edge rusher. I haven't been watching Hard Knocks, so you're gonna have to be my source of information on that. I need to get HBO. I mean, that's what it's on, right?
Yeah, it's on HBO. If you have Max, you're able to watch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it pretty much like they went through the whole thing basically. Like they told Saquon like, we're gonna let you test the market. They didn't want to franchise him or pay him what he felt he was worth because they said nobody else would pay him that. They basically said in an interview with Malik Neighbors and asked him like, how would you feel like if you weren't immediately part of the game plan and stuff? And he told him, he was like, dude, that's frustrating. And they actually liked that demeanor out of him. So, and their plan is to build around Daniel Jones for this year and hopefully into the future if he checks out. So I'm like, okay, live by him, die by him. Go ahead. That media market's that's tough. Hopefully you can take it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like actually I take that back, but Daniel Jones has been around for a while too, and nothing really has happened. And at some point you're going to think they're going to finally actually draft another quarterback again. It's been like 4-5 years, right? And maybe even 6.
It would be funny if like they took Shador.
That would be funny for sure.
You want to talk about pissed?
That would be really funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, so the Giants, they have a cool like little Madden franchise team. They have a good receiver, they have good tackles, they have good edge rushers, but that's about it. So there's definitely a lot of room to improve. I don't see the Giants making a push for second in this division. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
And with that brings us now to the Washington Commanders, who last year went 4-13. They added Dan Quinn as their head coach. They also, they added Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Dante Fowler Jr., and Marcus Mariota. The departures for this team were Brandon McManus, Sam Howell, who I felt, needed more time.
Yeah.
As well as Kendall Fuller and Curtis Samuel, all gone. Scary Terry's still there. They drafted Jayden Daniels, Jazon Newton, Mike Sainstrill, Ben Sinnott, and also Christian McCaffrey's little brother to Luke. I like that move too out of Rice. Hopefully he can contribute in a big way. I hope he's like basically another version of McCaffrey. So, first question right out of the gate, why is it important for them to steadily bring along Jayden Daniels?
So let's go all the way back to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was really looking for a quarterback who was tough, who can really place the ball, be accurate. And that's what he got in Jayden Daniels. That's something that Washington really liked because they could have got Drake May. They were drafting second. And I personally really like Drake May. I probably would have taken Drake May if I was there. But they like someone who's tough, and they have a game plan vision for Jayden Daniels. They just kind of need to ease him into it because obviously being a running quarterback in the NFL is tough. You're going to take your hits, and it's not a long-term thing to do. So it's definitely going to be important for Dan Quinn to do that. And he's kind of been around veteran present quarterbacks his whole career. A long time ago, he was with the Falcons. He was with Brian. Then he went on to Dak Prescott. So now he's kind of dealing with a younger guy, which is a little bit different. So we're going to see how well he is able to steadily bring him along because it might be kind of like a scrambled start because the Commanders are going to Tampa to play the Buccaneers. And Todd Bowles is going to try to make that game as hectic as hell.
Yeah. Which I'll be there. I'm like, dang, I'm getting a chance to see a Heisman Trophy winner week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it, man. I can't wait.
But I really like this roster. I mean, you said those are some good additions. I like Luke McCaffrey. They might have him at 3, maybe in the slot a couple times.
I hope he checks out, man. I hope he does. That's a whole football family. I don't think he'll be a bust.
Oh yeah, I know. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, he's got to be at least like a 3 or 4 receiver.
Yeah, and then even to Austin Eckler, that's the best help for a rookie quarterback is a running back like that.
Yeah, good check down option, and you got the power with Brian Robinson still, who I really like. Always Roll Tide coming out of Alabama. Zach Ertz though is your new tight end there. Old veteran, but then you remember they also did draft a tight end, Ben Sano.
Yeah,
I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, Sanat.
So that guy, I guess, is going to learn under Zach Ertz for a year and then get to it. Because I really did like that guy coming out of Kansas State. That's a good tight end pick they got in the second round. Also, they have a left guard named Chris Paul. Fun fact about the Commanders.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they have another guard. What do you think of the Commanders, though? We've kind of already established we think that the Eagles and the Cowboys are 1-2. What do you think of the Commanders?
Honestly, call me crazy, but I could see the Commanders like passing by the Giants this year. I really think they could. I like what they've done with these additions. You already know Dan Quinn's going to keep a physical defense, stingy defense. He doesn't like the big, heavily built, bulky linebacker types like a Brian Urlacher, which those in today's game don't exist. We've talked about this with Ace. But I do think that, with what Dan Quinn wants, he wants like that speedy, sideline to sideline linebacker, like what you had with the Telvin Smith in Jacksonville and what you have now with the Marquise Bell in Dallas, what he had there. I think that that's what he wants, and that's how he's going to try to build this defense over time. And I think that's why also Chase Young isn't in Washington anymore. But I like this. I like where he's got his mind at for this. Hopefully Jayden Daniels checks out to make it easier, and help wins come. They need a new stadium as well too. Also, I hate to be that guy, but I think they need to bring back the Redskins logo.
I don't know. I have no comment on that. But
go ahead.
I mean, I think the Redskins logo it was cool, but I actually kind of like their new uniform. Just kind of growing on me just a little bit.
They brought back the yellow pants.
Yeah. Imagine, that'd be crazy if they actually went back to the Redskins. Actually, we're going to go back.
I would be all for it. I wouldn't even.
The comments would be so funny, though, on social media.
All right, folks.
I actually want to backtrack, though. We talked about Sam Howell. That was so strange. Why draft a quarterback and then 1 to 2 years later release him?
I don't, dude. Honestly, it's weird, dude. It's like why didn't Denver keep Tim Tebow knowing Peyton Manning was on his last leg? You could have developed Tim Tebow, honestly. Yeah,
there's some quarterback questions that have been kind of confusing for sure. They also got Sam Hartman, who I really liked at Wake Forest and Notre Dame.
Yeah, see that. I have no idea, dude. But they have they brought Sam Hartman in as an undrafted free
agent. Yeah, undrafted.
Why does this give me deja vu of RG3 and Kirk Cousins?
He still has to get over Marcus Mariota.
I think he'll do that. Personally.
But Dan Quinn really does have his good D-line, which is something he really would like to have. Jonathan Allen, he's always been a staple of his defense. Deron Payne. And then new pick, Jerson Newton. Supposed to be good coming out of Illinois. Frankie Louvu also they brought in from Carolina. He's a good linebacker. Bobby Wagner, longtime NFL veteran. So I do think this team should be able to surpass the New York Giants in terms of standings. So I'm going to give them that medal. Congratulations. It's not the best medal, but I think it's worth something.
So I think we're both agreeing here that it's basically Philly, Dallas, Washington, New York.
It's going to be a interesting conference. There's going to be some good games with a lot of storylines, as we talked about Saquon Barkley and then Jayden Daniels, and then Daniel Jones is going to be his last season as a Giant. We'll see what happens. I am looking forward to this division, but I do see it coming as Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants, with the Eagles winning and the Cowboys going wild card.
Fair statement. And I think Cowboys will be a first-round exit.
We'll see.
Yeah. Folks, that's going to do it for us on this episode. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you tune into all 8 of them. We have much more content coming towards you. Also, thank you, Chad, so much for joining us this evening. We can't wait to see you for the next video in the NFC South video.
Happy to be here. Let's do it.
You know it. All right, folks, take care. Stay blessed. We'll see you on the next episode.